Got a chance to look at 4 different parts kits here. We've got a Mahdi kit from Egypt, a Bulgarian kit that's a 74 with polymer furniture, another Bulgarian kit that's a 74 with wood furniture, and then a Yugo in 762x39 with some of the characteristics of the Yugo kits. So since we have all 4 of them here to compare and contrast, let's take a look at them. So coming forward from there is where we get to finally the handguard. Handguards are quite different between a 74 and a 47. Typically the 47 is going to be the smoother, the older. This one is an AKM, so it's swelled. 74 is a little narrower. This one is plywood, and it's just cut to shape out of plywood. There's some reinforcement inserts into it. This one is hardwood, cut to shape same way. There are some metal inserts, but in different places. So, you know, people like the swells, some people don't like the swells. The swells give you a place for your hands to catch on and your thumb part to catch on. The modern plastic ones are similar shape. They still have a swell to give you that place to grab on, and they'll have a shield on the bottom. Sometimes there's a shield on the top of these things. We'll get to that in a second. This one is another, like I say, the AKs 47s will have the smooth on the bottom sometimes, usually. For their AKMs, they'll sometimes have inserts like this, sometimes they won't. Sometimes they're for looks and to keep the wood from splitting and stuff. Other times, I think they just like to put extra time and effort into things sometimes, from back in the day. Maybe over time there was some reason to this. Maybe a lot of actual use or something that's kept the wood in better shape, but it might just be to make it look tight and tidy. So there's some differences physically. And then I guess I was going to say how they fit together. So your trunnion doesn't completely fill the channel of your receiver. The front of the channel there is well ahead of where that magazine locks in. Can't get this one to lock in, of course. Oh, this is a 74. No wonder I can't get it to lock in. I don't have a 74 mag here, but that's why I wasn't able to get it in here. But the trunnion doesn't fill the whole channel. So this lug, this block, is going to fit in there. They have this metal piece here that helps reinforce the wood, but it also pushes forward against the receiver in this particular one. If we look at the plastic version and the way that it would interface to that receiver, it wouldn't work with this particular one, so there must be some difference between the front of these receivers. Well, they don't look that different. So maybe this needs to be trimmed to be able to fit. But this one would definitely be a little bit tougher, but you'd see if I were to get it to fit in there how it would fit a little smoother compared to this wood one, which is probably undersized, and then that spring helps fill the gap, and that gives them kind of that slop, you know, that takes rid of some of the variance and having to worry about everything being perfect, because that spring will take up some of the slop. If we get to the front of the Mahdi, it's probably going to fit okay. And that's one of the reasons you're able to dress up your European one, or your 0.5 diameter or 0.5 thickness receivers, mean that there's the same dimensionality inside on a 74, an AKM, and AK for the most part. So a lot of times you're able to interchange furniture, and that lets you take like a G kit and put different furniture on it. So this was the front of this guy. This one is, oh, this doesn't have a lower. Okay, so that's, I think, about as much as I can offer there. Now the next thing would be the cleaning rod. So cleaning rods also fill in this channel. If you take a look at the hand guards, they have a hole going through them at the bottom. So when they're in this channel, the cleaning rod is also going up in here somewhere and just terminating somewhere before it hits the magazine lug. It would be the same on the hand guards here. Nope, I guess not. On this one, it goes inside the hand guard, and that means it's going to go through the hole in the front of this guy. So this would be on the front of the handguard here. This is the thing that holds the handguard in place underneath the barrel, and it's got a hole in the front, and that takes it through the handguard on this one, between the heat shield and the bottom plastic, where this one it just goes, you know, through the wood. Right, that was yours. On this one, it also goes through the laminated wood, and on the Yugo, again, a hole going through the laminated wood. I guess on the top of the handguards, you have the shroud that covers the piston. This creates the tube for the piston, and it also, you don't need it. You could take this part, the upper gas tube off and the handguard off, and the AK will work. It'll basically guide itself and smash into this pretty decent. I've seen them shot, I've shot them without the gas tube. I mean, it's weird, but they do line up and smash into here pretty good. But having the gas tube in place, having that gas tube there allows the piston, of course, to line up and just operate a lot better. So the handguards have a wood surrounding the metal shroud, and then they've got these two caps or cups that are attached permanently. So they're each about the same. These are the Egyptian and the Bulgarian looking underneath. They're both pretty gross. They get a lot of gas and junk up there. They're both used, so they've worn the paint and stuff away. That's a very high heat portion of the gun. The top with this laminated wood has obviously taken the heat just fine. This one has one of those springs on it also to take up some of the slop. I'm assuming the wood probably shrinks and expands with water, and this is helping to take some of that dimensionality. It's just kind of held in there. So there's a lot going on with these uppers. Make sure I get them back where they're supposed to go. First, the upper is going to intersect with the rear sight, and this little curvy thing here is a channel and a lock, which creates a channel down the front of the front sight, and that's where the top handguard is going to lock into. And then this thing's going to come and lock it into place, and it's going to be kind of positioned in between the front gas block and the rear sight here. It's going to fit like that and then lock into place. So if we were to take that same upper, even though it's off an AK-74, and jam it in here, it's going to do the same thing, because for whatever reason they made everything work like that. You flip this guy out of the way, and this guy will just drop into place, and I'm not going to force it because I'm not keeping this, but that's how you can dress these things up. So this is an AK-47 7.62x39 caliber front end. I could jam the 74 top on it and everything would still work, and it would look like a 74, but it'd be a 47. So that's how the top it's what the top hand guard and gas tube is for. This is what it looks like when it's off, and this is what it looks like when you've got a plastic one that's off, that's in really clean, nice shape. Another little springy thing. So here's what it's like off again, and on the older one, what it's like with the wood on. So how do you get that wood off? I'm kind of debating which one I want to try to pull it off on. First, I'm going to wipe my hands off so I don't get them all dirty. These are all going up for auction. My first video on YouTube was this, because this can be difficult for people to understand. I would always say hold the front of the thing like if you were holding anything, and then now grab it with the wood part with your other hand and twist like if you were if you're accelerating a motorcycle. So you're going to twist. Now sometimes it's easy enough to just twist with your hands. Sometimes you can take the flats here, the parts that intersect with the front sight or the rear sight, the same way that they lock into that front sight channel. You can take this and kind of hold it in your front sight if you've only got the gun. So you can just not put it in the front, lift it up a little bit and twist. Or if you've got a vise, put this in the vise and use 2 hands and twist. I'm not going to do it because I'm not keeping this, but I would twist the wood. Let's see if I can do it with this one that's apart. You would have it like this, you'd put them together and then twist. So holding it, I would twist as if I was accelerating a motorcycle, and it's gonna rotate around and into place on the top there. And I'll just take it right back off again if I can. Again, it's sometimes easier if you got your rifle there to just let the back hold it. Now I'll just put it in, since it's almost in all the way anyway. And now you can see what it would look like installed. And now I'm going to hold the metal and twist the plastic like if I'm accelerating a motorcycle. So twist. And I usually just go in the same direction. I don't think it matters, but for consistency I just keep going around in the same direction all the time. As I say that, this thing's getting stuck, so now I'm going to twist it the other way and see what happens. With a vise it's a lot easier, and without gloves and without somebody filming you, it's a lot easier. But once it's rotated again, they come apart like that. So they come in and they rotate around, and then it's installed. Rotate around and you take them apart. So can't do that on an SKS, and that's why it's a little weird. So people think it's like an SKS where you got to pull a pin and everything, and you don't. This is permanently welded on the front and back. This is you can take this little wedge thing off, but otherwise this is as far as it comes apart. That's welded and that's welded. Okay, so that's our upper handguard and our lower handguard. There is a difference on a Yugo in that it has 3 notches. Most AKs have 2 notches up front. So this Madi is typical of a Russian or a German, and it's going to connect about like that and have 2 air gaps up front. Your Bulgarian 74 barely has little gaps. The bottom is smooth, but when they come together you can just see barely 2 gaps, and the Yugos are quite prominently 3 gaps. Makes it easy to see a Yugo. Once you get used to seeing the wood and you get used to it, there's some variation in Bulgarian wood. It gets darker and lighter and a little bit redder. Yugo is almost always the same wood. Whatever forest this was, they used it for all their AKs. Coming forward from the handguard, all we would get is the bottom stuff where the cleaning rod comes in, and the cleaning rod doesn't so much, here's a cleaning rod on this one, the cleaning rod doesn't so much lock into place as much as it goes, you know, there would be a handguard right here, so this handguard would be holding a part of it, or at least shrouding a part of it. This part of it would be exposed, this part of it would be exposed. It's really just kind of tensioned in there. You just do this, you push it. Let's say that there was a handguard on here, even though there's no receiver. Let's say there was a handguard here and everything was cleaned up and locked in and everything. We would put our cleaning rod down through the couple of holes. There's a hole in the front. Well, there's a gap in the front. There's a hole through the bayonet lug. There's a hole in the front of the handguard retainer. There's a hole through the handguard, and then it just jams into the receiver over here, kind of hidden underneath there. Then we just pull it in and kind of pull down a little bit, and it just by friction locks underneath the front sight, kind of that little notchy thing. And then you can pull it out and get to it again. Now some folks back in the day would put a key ring, put a circular key ring through here, make it a little easier to grab out of there, even to use it sometimes. It wasn't perfect, but I have seen people do that. We've got the bayonet, of course, underneath. We showed how that connects to the front sight and the gas block on AK-47s, and on the front of the front of the brake, and on the front of the rear of the front sight on an AK-74. There's grenade launchers that would connect to the 2 bayonet lugs, on the 74s. And I might be missing a couple of other things, but those are getting beyond the realm of parts kits and beyond the realm of the differences and similarities between these parts kits. So I hope you've enjoyed this tour. These parts kits are going to auction, so I had to do this one before they left us, but hopefully they'll pay a bunch of bills off and we'll get back on the road and experience more of our gun community out there. So if you have any questions, let us know. We did take quite a few pictures of these, and we can potentially answer some questions through those pictures or other examples out there. We do appreciate your time, and as always, thank you for watching.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com. Thank you for supporting our projects. If you'd like to buy us a cup of coffee, check out our Patreon channel.
The guys and gals at GunWebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thank you for watching GunWebsites.com.